Hey guys, welcome back to Meghan Grace DIY. In this video, I'm going to cover the method that I use to attach rhinestones to all of my projects. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I want to share that growing up, I was a competitive figure skater, so that really shaped my design aesthetic to love anything and everything sparkly. If you're completely new to rhinestones and this is your first rhinestoning project, I really want you to go back and watch my other informational video about rhinestones. It breaks down the size, shape, material, and it'll show you how to get the best bang for your buck when buying them online. Rhinestones can be attached in a few different ways: hot fix, sew on, and glue on. I tend to prefer the glue on method, and that's what I'll be demonstrating for you today. You're going to be able to use this technique when rhinestoning a garment, a skating dress, a wedding invitation, a tumbler, some sneakers, basically anything that you can think of. For today's demonstration, I'm using a tote bag that I personalized for our 500 subscriber winner, and I also glittered it with rhinestones, so I'm going to show you today how I glued those on. There's several different glues that you can use, but there's two main ones I'm going to show you. One is called E6000. E6000 probably has the best bonding properties of any glue out there, but the one thing I don't like about it is it has a very, very strong odor. I also find the glue a bit more stringy and hard to keep in one place, so that's why I tend to use Aileens Jewel It. I find the glue much more easy to control and keep it in one spot with Aileens, as well as the bottle is easier for me to squeeze, so that's why I tend to keep to this type of glue. It's also important to remember that different glues work better for different things. If you're looking to rhinestone a pair of sneakers or to rhinestone a tumbler, I would definitely stick with E6000. If you're working with fabric, I would stick with the Aileens Jewel It. The crystals I'm going to use today, I actually purchased all off of Amazon. Again, if you go back to my other video, I'll explain the differences between these plain glass stones and Swarovski crystals, which most people have heard of. The crystals I'm going to use, which are from the brand Jolin, have really great quality, really great sparkle, and look almost identical to Swarovski and cost about 1/10 of the price. The two bags of crystals I just picked up are known as SS20, which is kind of a standard size in the crystalling world, and then this bag is SS40, which is a bigger type of stone. Anytime you see that rainbow coating on a clear stone, that's known as crystal AB, or Aurora Borealis. That's actually a separate effect that's applied to the stone after it's made. As you saw in the video of the finished product, my goal is to just do a scattering of rhinestones around the name. In doing this sort of starburst effect, I'm going to vary my sizes, and I'm going to do them more condensed around the name and spread them out as I go outwards from the name. I don't necessarily have a planned pattern, I just kind of do what feels right and what looks right to my eye as I go. I'm going to start by placing just a few glue dots around the name. When you're using glue, less is always more. You can always put more glue on. It's very difficult to remove the glue from your project without it looking messy after you've put on too much. When it comes to picking up the crystals and putting them onto the glue, I know there's many tools out there such as wax tip pencils that will help you pick them up and place them where they need to be. But when I was a poor college student, I learned that if I took a pencil and put a little bit of glue at the tip of the pencil and let it dry a little bit so it would become a little tacky, I could pick the stones up that way. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm picking up with my pencil some of the black hematite stones that I have in my hand, and I'm placing them directly onto the glue. When it comes to the amount of glue that you put on your project, you don't want to see any glue squish out from underneath the stone. Sometimes it happens, but if you put on so much that a lot is squishing out, then you're putting on way, way, way too much glue. Again, less is always more. I'm going to go ahead and finish filling in the hematite stones. And once that's completed, I'm going to go back and fill in with some crystal AB stones to give my starburst a little bit of dimension. I'm going to take those larger crystal AB 40SS stones and put one at each end of the name. Bigger stone, I can put a little bit more glue, but again, don't go crazy. Here I'm going to add the glue to add in a few more spots to put some crystal AB stones mixed in with the hematite stones. Now that I'm satisfied with how my larger stones are laid down, I'm going to go ahead and fill in any empty spots where I'm going to put smaller stones or a 16SS. The stones I'm going to use here were another great Amazon find. 16SS is a slightly smaller size than the 20SS. The color of these stones have a sort of a silver coating to them, so that way we get a nice reflection between the crystal AB and then the darker hematite stones. I think it's important to note here that I don't apply all of the glue for the stones I plan to lay down at once. You do it in small chunks because the glue can dry relatively quickly, and especially since it's such a small amount, you don't want it to dry before you can apply the stone. At this point, I've pretty much achieved the look that I want. I wanted the stones to look like they were starbursting out from the name, but I'm doing one final check to see if there's any little holes or spots where I could add a couple more crystals. I'm gonna sneak in one final crystal, and I think this is art. I think we can call it done. When we take a look up close, you can see how there really isn't any glue squishing out from underneath my stones. If there's a little teeny bit, don't worry, it'll dry clear. And lastly, make sure you give your project a full 24 hours to dry before you start using it. And that is how I apply rhinestones to the many sparkly projects I've made over the years. So thank you again for stopping by Meghan Grace DIY. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate all the new subscribers I've gotten. And if you're not a subscriber, please make sure you hit that subscribe and notify button on the way out. And happy crafting!